Everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Michael's Matters. Now, of course, as per usual, I'm Michael, and today I want to talk about some things that are actually super important to know well before anyone decides to start taking Social Security benefits. So, this could be Social Security Disability SSDI, Social Security Retirement, Social Security Survivors, Spousal Benefit, really all the other iterations of Social Security. Because when you know these big things, it can give you a much better understanding of what your income will be and how much you should be getting and when you should start to take your Social Security benefits. Now, this is Michael's Matters. And before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or hey, if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow. And again, we are so thankful for that. But also because you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, now, let's get down to the video. All right, so when someone is considering retiring or trying to figure out when they should do it, obviously the ultimate decision, the biggest decision is when you should start. And that seems pretty simple. Many people, my parents' age and maybe my grandparents' age and some of my aunts and uncles, they would have said, well, at 65, that is when you can start getting your retirement, or 66 or 67 for people who are getting there now. But really, it's not that simple. The reason being is that when you decide to begin your Social Security benefits is essentially destiny. All the benefits anyone will ever receive from the beginning of their benefits to the end is going to be set by that date. So, not to put too much pressure on anyone who's trying to figure it out, but it's kind of sort of a big decision, and it lays out what your benefits will be in perpetuity. That being said, the first thing that anyone should figure out is how much Social Security benefits they can receive based on when they retire. This is because a person can actually retire as early as the age of 62 years old, or at their full retirement age, which may be 66 or 67 years old, or even as late as possible at 70 years old. Choosing to retire at each of these ages will have consequences on how much benefits you can get over your lifetime and also how much you get when you start. If someone retires at 62 years old, they will lose about 30% of their benefits that they could have had they waited to their full retirement age at 66 or 67 years old when they get 100%. Or better yet, if they forego claiming benefits, at least for a while to the latest age till 70, then they can get roughly 30% more. So 130% of what their full retirement benefits would have been by waiting. The first part of figuring out how much you can get at each of these ages is to understand how much money you earn throughout your lifetime, and equally important, how much Social Security shows you earned for each of those years. Because like all organizations made up by humans, Social Security, they make mistakes. And maybe your tax made mistakes. Maybe you made mistakes. These things happen, and if your income is incorrect on the Social Security record, it will affect how much benefits you can get regardless of when you retire. To do this, what you want to do is to create a My SSA account through the Social Security website. It's free, it's run by Social Security, and once you get an account created, it will show you how much the Social Security Administration has on record for how much you made each of the years that you had earnings. For example, me in 2001, I paid $0 on Social Security taxes because I only made $756. It must have been some birthday money or something like that, which I assure you, I did spend responsibly on as much candy as I could carry. Now, these numbers, of course, are the most important things to make sure are correct because Social Security benefits are calculated off how long and how much you paid into Social Security via the payroll tax. And you see that line there where it shows how much you paid into tax. And again, that is the reason why your paychecks look different than the cash or the amount of cash that you put into your pocket at the end of the work week. It's because of these taxes. Social Security uses the top 35 years of earnings as the basis for your Social Security benefits. As a result, the people who pay the most into Social Security are the ones who get the highest benefits out. Just as an example, for 2023, the maximum taxable income for Social Security, because it doesn't tax all your income just up to a certain point, is at $160,200 a year, which would mean that to get the full highest Social Security benefits possible, somebody would have had to have paid that or the equivalent adjusted for inflation for the last 35 years or the top 35 years of their earning lifespan. So if you had a slow start as far as earnings in your early years and made, I don't know, $756 in a year and made no tax on it, you can actually start making up for some of those lower income years by working longer and having higher income years later on because they only use the top 35. Realistically, though, most people are not going to meet that max income for the last 35 years. But as an example of how that really matters, if someone did have the maximum possible Social Security benefit in 2023. If they did retire at the earliest age of 62 years old, they would have a starting Social Security monthly benefit, the max they could get at $2,572. If they were to reach their full retirement age and have paid in the max for the last 35 years, that number would go up to $3,627 a month. And if they had retired at the latest possible retirement age at 70 and paid the max for 35 years, then they would get $4,555. To put that into context, even someone like the big guy, President Biden's Social Security benefits were only at $2,436.04 a month back in 2022 in the most recent tax filing. So, yeah, it is a high bar to hit, definitely. And every dollar counts. And every year when the COLA increase happens, though, it's also based off this number. So, it really is a big, hairy deal. So ultimately, first things first, you want to know is how much money Social Security has on your record as far as you're earning. Make sure that's correct so you can get a better idea of when you retired at 62 or maybe at 66 or 67 or 70, how much money you would get monthly, and also how much money you'd be short from whatever your personal bills are, or vice versa. Second up today is particularly important for people who are considering taking Social Security benefits early, like before their full retirement age. And many, many, many Americans are doing this. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans are taking their Social Security benefits earlier than they had expected. The reason why this is important is because it is easy to think, oh, you know what? I can start taking my Social Security benefits and then do some work and be flush with cash, right? But the reality is that Social Security is particularly designed in a way to discourage this, at least to some degree. What I mean by this is that if you work over a certain amount and you have not yet reached your full retirement age at 66 or 67 years old, then some of the money that you earn from work could be offset by Social Security and bring down your Social Security benefits. So it's really kind of, shooting oneself in the foot or hoisting oneself on their own petard or I don't think I have any other cliches for that. Either way, at a certain point, it becomes counterproductive. So how this works again for people under the full retirement age is for every $2 that a retired person makes over $21,240 in earnings in 2023, that is, the Social Security Administration will deduct $1 from your Social Security benefits, which is honestly pretty onerous. But hey, the program is kind of sort of already in dire financial states, and you can't really have people double dipping into it. At least that is the thought. These restrictions get less bad if a person is in the year in which they reach their full retirement age, because Social Security will only deduct $1 of Social Security benefit from their monthly Social Security benefits checks for every $3 of earnings that are above a higher limit at $56,520 a year. And this will continue until a person reaches their full retirement age, which ironically is when you can begin to work as much as you would like to once you hit your retirement age. So that is going to be another thing that's really important to know is how much money you are going to be getting from Social Security if you decide to retire prior to your full retirement age, and understanding how much your earnings are and how they could impact each other. And lastly today, I'm going to talk about one other really important thing to pay attention to when you're considering when to retire before you start taking any Social Security benefits is something called the break-even point. Now, the break-even point is the point at which the benefits over a lifetime begin intersect. So it is super important if you're trying to figure out how to maximize your benefits from Social Security over a lifetime to understand where this break-even point is. To explain this, it's sort of like one of those old math word problems that you get back in school, where you have like a train leaving from Chicago at one speed and then a train B leaving from San Francisco at another speed. And the question is, at what point do they meet? But instead of leaving from Chicago or from San Francisco, in this word problem, and it's a real life problem, rather they are leaving from ages. So the train leaves at 62, at 66, or 67, depending on your full retirement age, or the train leaves at 70. That's when you start taking those benefits, and they all do actually intersect at some point. Basically, if someone retires at the earliest age of 62, they will get a lower amount of benefits, but for a longer period of time, which would give them technically a head start in how much benefits they can claim over their lifetime, especially over people who retire at their full retirement age or at 70. But because people who retire later have higher amounts of benefits coming in, they start to catch up over time. So every month they start claiming their benefits. With the higher benefits, they start gaining ground. And for people who start getting benefits at 70, those folks are getting the highest benefits, and they're catching up even faster than folks who retire at their full retirement age, up against people who retire at the earliest point at 62 years old. The point to this is that you're kind of sort of making a morbid bet on yourself when you're thinking about how long you're going to live and how much benefits you could possibly receive. Because we know that the average life expectancy in the United States right now is at 76.1 years old. And this, of course, is going to change based on gender, based on race, based on education, based on a whole menagerie of things. But if you know on average you're going to live to this age, then you can look at where those break even points are and figure out if it would actually be more suited for your goal to retiring early and taking lower benefits for longer. Or if you think you can hang in there, wait until the last moment and take higher benefits for longer. To that end, on average, when we look at the point where retiring at 66 or 67, the full retirement age, catches up with somebody who retires at 62 years old, the earliest age, that point is right at 78 years and 8 months old. When comparing 62 versus retiring at 70, the latest time that someone can retire and start taking their Social Security benefits, that actually number goes up to 80 years old. Lastly, according to Social Security, they show that the average age expectancy for someone who is currently 55 years old right now is expected to live an additional 24.27 years. So that would put them right at 79.27 years old. So if you are thinking you're going to be forever young and then maybe retiring at 62, is a better idea because it will maximize the amount of benefits and time that you have as a retired person. But if you're going to be, a George Burns reincarnated and live till 100 and some odd years old, then maybe waiting till 70 would leave you with some more change in your pocket overall. So overall, retiring is a complicated decision-making matrices. It is sort of like a 10,000 squared Rubik's Cube where you're never going to get all the colors on one side, but the best you can do is try to get most amount of the colors that you can, the most amount of things that you find important all on one side, and the other ones just kind of keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best. If your aim is to get the most time and are willing to sacrifice a bit of cash for that, then retiring early may make sense. If you want to maximize your cash over a lifetime and you think you can hang in there, then waiting till 70 is a really great decision. If you're going to work, that too could have a big influence on your decision as well, especially if you're going to retire before the full retirement age. All these things are things that go into a retirement decision. And these things specifically are some of the biggest things that you would want to consider depending on your situation and depending on which one you choose is going to guide your whole path really for the rest of your life. So they are super important and should take a considerable amount of time and consideration for which one fits best with your plan. All right, so that's it for today's Michael's Matters, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, if you found it interesting, if you found it helpful, or hey, if you at least found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow. And again, we are super duper thankful for that. But also, you get notifications when our newest and most informative videos become available. So, for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourselves, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy